What's up YouTube, Dell here from Zephyr, and today I am bringing you a very budget profile for Blue Eyes White Dragon. Now this is going to be involving the brand new structure deck, and the reason it is budget is because all you're really going to need is 3 of the structure deck and then a very small investment of anywhere but about $40 odd, bringing the grand total at around about $80 maximum, and that will get you a main deck, a extra deck, and even involves the side deck as well. So I'm going to take you through that entire profile, show you what we've got, and then show you a combo at the end of the video so you see the basic playstyle you're going to want to take with Blue Eyes. But before I get started, please make sure you smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. As an addition to that, this is my final sealed copy of the Blue Eyes White Destiny. So we're going to open this up on camera to kind of see what promo we get. So every deck comes with one of 3 secret rare promos, whether it be the Blue Eyes Ultimate Spirit Dragon, whether it be the Prayers of White, or whether it be the Maiden. On top of that as well, there is a very small chance that the promo can also be a quarter century secret rare. So it should be face down. There we go. We're just going to see what the last one is. Now the deck itself should be pretty normal. I'm not going to take you through the contents of the exact deck. You'll be able to see that exactly on the back of this box, and there has been a million of one opening, so I'm not going to waste your time by taking you through those. But the promo we got, the last promo is a Blue Eyes Ultimate Spirit Dragon. Now I actually don't mind getting this one because this is the one that I don't mind having the most because I love it in Secret Rare. I think it looks absolutely amazing. Unfortunately no quarter century Secret Rare, but that's absolutely fine. So now that we've done that, I'm going to zoom in a little bit and I'm going to take you through this Blue Eyes profile. Now the best thing about the Blue Eyes deck is it can be played in multitude of different ways. You can upgrade it even further and involve the Primites. You can upgrade it in a different direction and try and keep it a little bit cheaper by going down a Synchro route involving Crimson Dragon and Stardust Sturf Dragon. On top of that as well, you do have options to go down a fusion route or an XYZ route. I've decided to go with a bit more of a tidier budget route, which still gives you the exact same outgoal. So we're going to be starting off with free Blue Eyes White Dragon. Now I decided to go with the original LOB artwork, as you do get 3 different artworks inside the structure deck. You get the movie one, and then you also get the stone tablet version as well. Now the reason I'm playing 3 Blue Eyes in this particular version is, as of the non-engine cards, which I'll show you at the end of the video, we're only using 5 of them, and one of them is technically like an e-telly for vanilla monsters. Hopefully that's given you a bit of a preview. Then of course for the rest of the dragons we play 1 Alternative, 1 Jet Dragon, 1 Spirit of White, followed by 1 of the Neo Kaiser Seahorse, and then 1 of each of the Stones of Legend. Now of course if you wanted to, you can play more of these, but you'd be going down a bit more of a different synchro route. You'd be going towards a ritual summon route as well if you want to play Blue Eyes Chaos Max. We decided not to go down that particular route. So for those of you unfamiliar with the brand new Neo Kaiser Seahorse, if you control a Blue Eyes White Dragon, which is going to be a little bit easier to do because we are playing as a preview, and I might as well show you now, Primite Raw. You can choose not to play this if you want to, it really is up to you, but the idea behind this one as a very small integration to the deck, if you hard open this up, it's going to be able to give you quicker, easier access to Blue Eyes. It's also going to give you access to making rank 8s a little bit easier. It gives you a disruption in the graveyard that your opponent might not think about or might forget, and then it just means that stuff like the Neo Kaiser Seahorse is a lot easier to resolve. So this one is, if you control Blue Eyes White Dragon, you get to special summon this card from the hand. You can target 1 light tuner you control, increase or decrease its level by 1. If this is sent from the field to the graveyard, you get to send 1 Blue Eyes monster or a monster that mentions Blue Eyes White Dragon from the deck to the graveyard, except itself, and you can only use each effect once per turn. And then for the first of the spellcasters, we are playing the amazingly great edition of Maiden of White. So you get to send this card from the hand or field to the graveyard to place 1 true light from your hand, deck, or graveyard face up into your spell and trap zone. If you special summon Blue Eyes White Dragon while this card is in the graveyard, except during a damage step, you can special summon this card. When a card or effect is activated that targets this card on the field, or when this card is targeted for an attack, you get a quick effect to special summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon or a level 1 light tuner from your graveyard. You can only use each effect once per turn. The other spellcaster we are playing is Triple Sage with Eyes of Blue. So when this card is specifically normal summoned, you get to add a level 1 light tuner from the deck. Hello, brand new Maiden of White, and of course a Fet Veiler if you want to be a little bit more disruptive. You get to add a level 1 light tuner from the deck to the hand, except itself. You can discard this card, then target an effect monster you control, send it to the graveyard, and if you do, special summon a Blue Eyes monster. Very important that it says Blue Eyes monster, because then it gives you access to any of your Blue Eyes variants, so like Jet Dragon as well. From your deck, you can only use each of the effects once per turn. And then we're going to be moving on to the Blue Eyes spells. Now, the other amazingly brand new addition is the Wishes for Eyes of Blue. So you discard one card to add one level 1 Light Tuner and one spell or trap that mentions Blue Eyes White Dragon from the deck to the hand. So again, this can actually search you out Effect Veiler. I wonder why they put 2 Effect Veilers in every copy of the deck. You can banish this card from the graveyard to target a Blue Eyes White Dragon you control. Equip one Blue Eyes monster from your extra deck to it as an equip spell that gives it 400 attack. You can only use each effect once per turn. Now, the benefit of doing something like that, and you might have seen that in a couple of profiles, and you're like, well, why are they playing that card in their extra deck? Well, the fact of the matter is you can actually then equipped it with something like your Neo Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, which also has a graveyard effect if one of your Blue Eyes is targeted, but it also then allows you to turn that Blue Eyes that this is equipped to, or the fusion monster is equipped to, into a Tyrant Dragon, which can be very powerful against trap style decks as well. Carrying on with the brand new cards, we are playing one Roar of the Blue-Eyed Dragons. Now, you don't have to play this, it's very flexible, it really comes down to preference. This one lets you special summon in defense a Blue Eyes monster from your deck, grave, or banishment. But if you control no Blue Eyes White Dragon specifically, you can only special summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon. Also, you can't special summon from the extra deck for the rest of the turn except dragon monsters, relatively easy to do. You can banish this card from the graveyard to fusion summon one fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as material, including a Blue Eyes monster. You can only use one Roar of the Blue Eyes effect per turn and only once that turn. So it's a little bit more specific, but it's just to kind of show you what the new card does, how you would integrate it, and it's something you don't need to rely on as heavily in comparison to something like Wishes for Eyes of Blue. Then, of course, you do play the one Mausoleum and the one Called by the Grave. Now, all these cards that I've shown you are all in the main deck. So right now, your grand total on this budget build is probably 2 to 3 structure decks. 2 structure decks if you get lucky with your promo pools and you don't mind about not having 3 Ashes, Nibs, and Imperms, or 3 structure decks straight away, which total about $39. And then, of course, for the track cards, we've got the one True Light and the one brand new Majesty of the White Dragon. So you show up to 3 of your Blue Eyes White Dragons in your hand, face up monster zone and or graveyard, then destroy an equal number of cards your opponent controls. You can banish this card from the graveyard to ritual summon a ritual monster from your hand by tributing Blue Eyes White Dragon monsters from your, Blue Eyes White Dragons specifically, from your hand or field whose total level is equal its level. You can only use each effect once per turn. Now, obviously, you're only going to be using the first effect in this particular build. In a ritual build, the second effect comes up a little bit more. And then the best thing about this structure there is the amount of hand traps you get. So you have the ability to play free Veiler, free Ash, free Nib, which you can side if you want to, and free Infinite Impermanence. So everything I've shown you there is 35 cards, all come within the structure deck. How good is that? So it means all of your existing budget, whether you want to be going for a $50 total price point or whether you want to be working towards a $60, $70, $80, even $100 price point, that means that you can put in cards like Bestial Balldrake and Bestial Magnamute, as these are the 2 cheapest Bestials around. And the best thing about them is they still act as disruptions. The Balldrake can still allow you to send any light or darks in order to negate or to banish the summon. And then, of course, your Magnamute will search out any of your dragons. So there's your consistency. The only Primite card we are playing is Triple Primite Roar. This is purely because in this version I want to be focusing a bit more on being able to get my synchros out a little bit more consistently and my rank 8 options. So being able to pay 2,000 life points to then summon out a Blue Eyes White Dragon from the deck is absolutely insane. And then it does have the secondary effect that if your opponent normals a monster, you get to banish this card from the graveyard to target a normal monster you control or in your graveyard and banish a monster, one monster from the field with less attack than that monster. So your normal monster is going to be 3,000 attack and you get to banish, which is insane. So a very, very small and tidy inclusion into the deck. I'll show you the extra deck and then I'll show you the side deck. So for our synchro monsters, you want to be starting off with the one brand new Blue Eyes Ultimate Spirit Dragon. So this requires 2 tuners and 1 non-tuner Blue Eyes monster, but the idea is you're going to be spinning this out from your deck, or your extra deck technically, with your Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon, which can do that very easy. Your opponent cannot banish cards from your graveyard, means they cannot bestial you. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. When a card or effect is activated on the field, quick effect negate the activation, and if you do, this card gains 1,000 attack until the end of this turn. If this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you get to special summon a light dragon monster from your graveyard except itself. So even though it can get destroyed via the own effect of the Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon, it means you can loop back one of your synchro monsters if you want to, or you loop back a Blue Eyes, and then obviously, as we've seen, if you loop back a Blue Eyes and you have the Maiden with Eyes in the graveyard, you then get to bring the Maiden with White back from the graveyard to the board. You just make another Spirit Dragon, and then you get to get out one of your other synchro targets. Now, the other synchro target that I am playing in this one, which you can play as your eyes if you want to, but I thought I'd show you off the new Lightstorm Dragon, which was a common in Supreme Darkness, as some people would have forgotten about this. So the benefit of something like your Blue-Eyed Spirit Dragon is it is a quick effect to be able to tag out, and the benefit of something like that is you can quick effect bring out your Light Storm Dragon, as it is a light dragon, and this one is if it is special summoned, you get to target spells and traps on the field up to the number of normal monsters in your graveyard +1, and you destroy them. If this card is destroy or battle or card effect, you get to target a spell or trap in your graveyard and set it, but it cannot be activated unless you control a normal monster, which is incredibly easy to do in this deck, and you should be able to pop 2 spells and traps along your opponent's back row with this particular card. Of course, sub it out for Azurize. I just kind of wanted to show you a card that not a lot of people might know about if you are just picking up these structure decks, and it's a common that you should be able to get for free from anyone at locals. Then for our fusion monsters, we do play the 1 Blue Eyes Twin Burst, the 1 Tyrant, and the 1 Ultimate. Now, you're never really going to be summoning out the Ultimate, but the idea is, like I said previously, is you're equipping it with the second effect of the Prayers with Eyes of Blue. And then that gives you the ability to get into Tyrant Dragon. And then the fact of this one is this one must be fusion summoned or specialed by sending the above monsters you control to the graveyard. So you send Blue Eyes White Dragon ×2, which gives you this card that can attack twice and then gets you allows you to deal with cards that won't get destroyed by battle. So at the end of the damage step, when this card attacks an opponent's monster, but your opponent's monster was not destroyed by that battle, you get to banish that opponent's monster, which is really kind of cool. And then for the links, before we move on to the XYZs, so the links within the structure deck, we do play 2 Spirit with Eyes of Blue. So this requires a level 4 or lower dragon or spellcaster, which is why playing the Kaiser Seahorse can be quite helpful for you. You can't special summon except dragons while it's on the board, so when you get rid of it, you're free to do as you need to. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. If this card is link summoned, you get to take 1 Mausoleum of White from the deck and either add it to the hand or send it to the graveyard. You can treat this card to special summon a Blue Eyes monster from the hand or graveyard, but if you special summon an effect monster from your graveyard by this effect, it cannot attack and its effects are negated. Then the other link monster that is within the structure deck is the Hieratic Seals of Heavenly Spheres. Then moving on to the final card in the structure that we are playing is the Indigo Eyes Silver Dragon. Now, you don't have to play this. This is again just down to my personal preference because I'm going down more of a rank 8 option for the deck, but it gives you a little bit of flexibility should you want to change it up. So can't attack directly unless this card has a normal monster as material, and you can only use each of the following effects once per turn. If this card is XYZ summoned, you negate the effects of all face-up cards your opponent currently controls. You get to detach a material from this card to then target a normal monster in your graveyard or banishment and special summon it, and if you do, it gains 1000 attack. So this is your aggressive out. Now the flip side of this is if you do have access to Crimson Dragon or you're willing to put a little bit more budget in to get hold of a Crimson Dragon, you then swap all of the XYZ targets I'm about to show you, including the Indigo Silver Eyes, into those particular targets. Now some of the targets you might want to consider, if you want to try and keep the cost down a little bit as well, is the more recent, and when I find the copy that I did have to one side, which has probably now been shuffled up into everything, is the more recent level 12 Crystal Wing Dragon. That then gives you the ability to negate, there we go. So you can go for the brand new Crystal Clear Wing over Synchro Dragon. Basically, you're going to be looking at level 12 Synchro Dragon monsters, so that then opens up to Red Supernova Dragon. Stardust Surf Dragon is the more expensive card that's currently sitting at like £25 a copy, which is insane. You also have options like a Cosmic Blazar Dragon as well. So you've got loads of different level 12 Synchro options that you might want to consider. The only downside is you need to spend £20 to £35, which is probably roughly about $25 to $30 in order to get hold of a Crimson Dragon. So the other XYZs we play is the number 38 Hope Harbinger Dragon Titanic, plus the number 90 Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord, which is currently sitting around about $10 to $12. And then you've got the 1 Dingirsu, the Orchid of the Evening Star. The last card that you would consider playing would be something like an SP Little Knight, just because it is relatively cheap and easy to pick up, and it allows you to disrupt your opponent on multiple levels. You have loads of flexibility in this extra deck, as I've mentioned previously, so you don't feel tied to exactly what you've seen here. But this is a very good starting point while keeping the cost down. Moving on to the side deck, just so you have everything all in one nice bundle to kind of give you what you need to compete with the current meta right now. And of course, you're going to be looking at stuff like Artifact Lancia. Now, if you find that Artifact Lancia is a little bit hard to come by because they might be a bit more hyped, you can look at stuff like Chaos Hunter, which will relatively do the same job for you, but this is the ideal one you want to be looking for. You can then utilize a card like Draw and Lockbird, which should be relatively easy to pick up on top of that. Then for a personal board breaker option that I like to go for, which is a little bit cheaper than something like a Metal Tronus, is Book of Eclipse. You can use Ultimate Slayer as well, but this all comes down to what budget you have left in order to invest to, and I feel that something like Book of Eclipse can still be very helpful for you as you are producing a lot of strong monsters on the board that should be able to break through most defenses, especially when they're face down. And then just for the last one-offs, we've got the 1 Harpy's Feather Duster, so you have some form of back row removal. I've then gone with 2 Mischief for the Gnomes. You can very easily play Dimension Barrier as well. I just kind of feel that this is a nice little option that not a lot of people will be prepared for, that can help you deal with the Ryziel matchup. The final card that I would advise you picking out is stuff like Solemn Strikes. You can consider Solemn Judgments as well, but what I quite like about the Strikes is it gives you that option to really kind of stop your opponent, whether you want to negate a summon or whether you just want to stop a monster effect activation. It can be a little bit more versatile for you depending on what you're going to be facing. So that's it for the entire main deck, extra deck, and side deck for this budget Blue Eyes profile. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a very basic 1.5 card combo for the deck to show you exactly what you're going to need, how it's going to get going, and then the different options that you can utilize all from that position. So I'll be back in a second. Basic 1.5 card combo starts here with the brand new Maiden of White and any random discard. You're going to start off by sending the Maiden of White from the hand to the graveyard in order to place face up in your spell and trap zone the True Light. You then use the second effect of True Light to set one spell or trap from the deck that mentions Blue Eyes White Dragon with different names from cards you control and in your graveyard. So you're going to want to set Wishes for Eyes of Blue. You then activate Wishes for Eyes of Blue, discarding that random card in your hand in order to add a level 1 Light Tuner and a spell or trap that mentions Blue Eyes White Dragon from the deck to the hand, and you're going to want to go for Roar of the Blue-Eyed Dragon and Sage of Eyes of Blue. You will now normal summon your Sage of Eyes of Blue, allowing you to grab a level 1 Light Tuner, being an Effect Veiler, to give you a guaranteed hand trap interaction for the next turn. You will then link off the Sage of Eyes of Blue to go into the Spirit with Eyes of Blue, which will also allow you to grab the Mausoleum of White. You will activate the Mausoleum of White and use this effect to target the Spirit with Eyes of Blue to send a Blue Eyes White Dragon from deck to the grave to make sure you have a Blue Eyes in the graveyard. You'll then activate the Spirit of Eyes of Blue's second effect in order to tribute it off to revive the Blue Eyes White Dragon from the graveyard. This will then allow you to trigger your Maiden of White from the graveyard to bring itself back to the board to give you a guaranteed tuner. You will now be able to activate your Roar of the Blue-Eyed Dragon, allowing you to special summon any Blue Eyes monster from the deck because you currently control Blue Eyes White Dragon. The one you're going to want to go for will be the Blue Eyes Jet Dragon, as this gives you another form of revival / interaction during your opponent's turn. At this point here, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to synchro your Maiden and your Blue Eyes Jet, and this will give you your access to your first Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon. You will then use the second effect of your Wishes for Eyes of Blue in the graveyard to banish it, targeting the Blue Eyes White Dragon in order to equip it with your Neo Blue-Eyed Ultimate Dragon. The reason you're going to do this one is this one has an effect in the graveyard that when a card or effect is activated that targets a Blue Eyes monster or monsters you control, you get a quick effect to banish it from the graveyard to negate the activation and destroy it. So how are you going to get it to the graveyard? Well, very simply, you're going to tribute off your Blue Eyes White Dragon equipped with a dragon monster in order to special summon your Blue Eyes Tyrant Dragon, because it can be special summoned that way by tributing a Blue Eyes White Dragon equipped with a fusion monster. This is unaffected by trap cards and its effects, and it can attack all of your opponent's monsters once each. Then what you can do is during your opponent's turn, you're going to be passing it here. You've got True Light in order to set another spell or trap for recovery on the next turn, or you special summon back Blue Eyes White Dragon. You've got Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon to negate a card effect in the graveyard, and then you have the ability to quick effect tag it out in order to grab you your Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. If you wanted to get a second Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon in rotation instead, what you could do, because Mausoleum of White allows you to normal summon an additional tuner, you can actually summon down the Effect Veiler and then synchro into a second Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon. And the reason you would do something like that rather than the Tyrant Dragon is it would then give you the option to tag out your Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon into a Lightstorm Dragon during your opponent's turn and destroy spells and traps your opponent controls instead, which can be very, very helpful. So no matter which way you'd want to go with that one, you're either going to have at least an Effect Veiler activation in hand, a very troublesome Tyrant Dragon that needs to be dealt with, a negate off of the back of Spirit Dragon, which will tag into your Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, which provides you with another form of negation. Then of course you've still got True Light to activate, and you also have your Jet Dragon in the graveyard as well that can float back to the board and make sure that your cards can't be destroyed by your opponent's card effects, which is going to be massively helpful. And that's all come from 1.5 cards, so you're still going to have 3 more cards to back up your Effect Veiler should you need them as well, which can be even more hand traps, as we've already seen that this deck comes with Nibiru, Ash and Veiler alongside Infinite Impermanence. So that's it for the entire budget profile and combo to give you a nice introduction to the deck. I will be bringing you a full powered version and a more in-depth detailed combo guide alongside possible test hands and duels, so you can get the full experience of what this deck can offer. I think it's one of the best decks we've seen for a long time. It's definitely the best we've seen for the last year, because the last one we got was Fire Kings, and that recently just won YCS Birmingham. So maybe Blue Eyes is going to be a meta contender in the future. Who knows? For now, thank you so much for watching. If you do have any questions at all, by all means, please put in the comments down below. I will be more than happy to answer them as always. But for now, stay safe, and of course, happy dueling.